Well, hello and welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Where are we? Lost in Tala. That's where we are. But luckily for me, I do actually know where we are. We just come from a customer's house and, well, we've relieved him of €1,000, so we're going to live for another day and perhaps buy another Romeo and Juliet cigar. So we're going to do a bit of la-di-daring, especially for Sir Bernard and, of course, the girl in his life, Lady Jan. I'm looking forward to seeing them again very, very soon indeed, all the way from downtown Southend. That's where they're from. So if you're watching, thanks for watching. And of course, if you want to do a bit of Romeo and Julieting, if your name is Lord Derek Scully, and of course he's got a LaBouffe in his life, of course, keep watching the little channel known as Marika and me. We're now joining Stephanie Hill for a reference point, and look at that for a view. Now you understand why some people like to live at the top of Tala, because they get a spectacality of a view indeed. We're heading down towards Paphos at the bottom of Stephanie Hill. We're going to take a left and head through the outer extremities of Ember, and we're going to kiss the top of Paphos and then work our way through Paphos upper and then into the middle of the Paphos Old Townish area. That's where we're going to conclude this little episode of Marika and me. So if you like what you see, hit the like, click that subscribe, and perhaps come back for a little bit more of our complete and utter madness. And while you're at it, if you want to keep the channel afloat, why not hunt those magic words on Google? Buy me a coffee, Marika and me, and of course you'll have the opportunity to buy us a virtual coffee or two, or three, or four, or five. And we thank each and every person that has gone to the trouble, and we really, really do, from the bottom of our two hearts. Sir John Ricey, thank you very, very much indeed. If your name's Baron John, there's a girl called Baroness Louise. We thank you very, very much indeed. Lady Tracy Collier, thank you very, very much indeed. The list goes on and on and on. And you can also choose to become one of our superstar members on the Buy Me a Coffee platform. Buy Me a Coffee, Marika and me, hit that membership side, and of course for €10 a month, you can make sure that we are kept afloat. You get a special title, and of course you'll get yourself that little bit closer to Marika and me. We're on a spectacality of a day, there's no doubt about that. There's the odd cloud up in the sky, but one thing's for sure, it's looking very, very blue indeed. The sea, well, you just saw it, that's looking blue. Mr. Paul, guess what? He's dressed head to toe in blue. So all that's missing is you. Want to get yourself on a big bird or a canoe and start paddling like crazy. Cyprus, Paphos, the island of love, Marika and me are waiting, especially for you. We're just about to leave Tala, and technically we're in Ember, and if you happen to have borrowed a car, stolen a car, loaned a car, or perhaps even rented a car, on this stretch of road here the speed limit is 65 kilometres. So what's that, about 35 miles an hour? And stick to it, because I promise you, just down here at the foothills of the main Elysium School in Ember, more often than not to be honest, there can be a couple of Gumbarus in blue, and they're waiting with a speed gun especially for you. So if you're driving in around Paphos, normally the speed limit varies between 50 and 65 kilometres an hour. So if you travel around at around about 60 to 65 kilometres an hour, you can't attract the attention of the boys in blue. They're very, very lenient indeed. In a 50, they will allow you to travel at 69 kilometres an hour before they zap you. Obviously in a 65, they will allow you to go to around about 82, 83 kilometres an hour before they zap you. So, as I would say, travel around about 60, 65 and you can't go wrong. And you can salute them and smile at them, and they won't even have to flinch and put their frappy down. They can keep smoking, and of course at this time of year now it's getting a bit chilly for the locals, so they start to put on their fleece jackets and their woolly flip-flops, because to be honest, they want to have a quiet life, a nice relaxed life indeed. The road surface along here, to be honest, is a little bit Sherlock Holmes, and if you're new to the channel and you're curious to know what does Sherlock Holmes mean, well, he may have been the greatest detective in the world, but a long time ago in a video, Marika, that's Miss Oching Grasiviala Booth, was going to say some naughty words, and she improvised with the words Sherlock Holmes, and from that day on that little phrase stuck. It actually means S-H-I-T, or you're talking a load of S-H-I-T, and more often than not, guess what? I am. Here we are. This is the Ember Strait. You've got a car wash coming up called the American Car Wash, and a fueling station. So if you want some liquid benzene or some diesel, the black stuff, the devil stuff, how much is it today? Let's have a quick look. What did they say? 171.9. Why they bothered with this 0.9 and 0.8 rubbish, I don't know. Why not just call it 172? There we are. Quite expensive, but this is life, isn't it? If you want to drive around, you have to pop it in the tank. So whatever the price is, it doesn't really matter. Hey up, live on camera. There could be a bit of business coming in. It's the brother number one. Let's see what he's got to say. Yes. No. No. Ah, you must have a missed call from before. So you're en route now, yeah? Yeah, I'm on my way. All right, I'll see you in the workshop in about 15 minutes. Yeah? All right, bye. That's brother number one. He's in a car, and he's diverted to the house because he wanted to go to the little boy's room. There we go. Now he's on his way to the workshop, which of course is where I am off to as well. So this is Ember, as I've said. We're going to take a left now, and eventually we're going to work our way to the intersection, the crossroads between the main road down to the Old Town and the new road up what's called Masoi Avenue. And if you want to buy a Bugatti Veyron or a McLaren or something like that, or even something more humble like a Volkswagen or a BMW, that's the street for you. You can also go to the shops that sell fridges and cookers and electric air conditioning, and there's one or two supermarkets on there as well. But that's what we call Masoi Avenue, and if you're looking for a car, that's probably your first point of call, probably. And like I say, there's a garage called Pan Motors on there, and there's a fancy garage called Onyx, and they dibble and dabble in, well, Bentleys, Ferraris, Aston Martins, you name it. If you've got the money, they've got it waiting especially for you. I've never seen them driving around though, so I don't know who is buying them, or if they are buying them, what are they doing with them? Just sticking them in their garages perhaps, and then whizzing around Paphos in a clapped out old Mazda Demio. Not that there's anything wrong with the Mazda Demio, it's just that, yeah, well, the ride's not that good, because the roads in and around Paphos really are Sherlock Holmes, and I mean it, they really are. So if your name is Lady, oh, so sweet Caroline, and you've got a man in your life called Lord Nigel of the Big Guns, and you're coming to Paphos very soon, if I was you, I'd get your bottom on a memory foam pillow, because these roads are really diabolical. In fact, they're up there with William Shakespeare, and in some cases they're up there with Geoffrey Chaucer, Chaucerian English. I could never ever get my tongue around that was for sure. This is the intersection that's coming up. If we go straight, we're going to head for the Anavargos Fountain roundabout and go out towards Limassol, but we're not. We're going right, and we're heading down towards the Old Town. Is there a car coming the other way? No, let's be quick, let's be sneaky, let's be naughty. At least the lights were on green, but the arrow was against us. And now we're in gridlock traffic. Alison, look at this. Dizzy Blonde, look at this. Gridlock traffic. What time is it? 2 minutes to 11. So everyone's getting frantic and they're driving around because they understand there is only an hour and a half to go before lunch. And lunch is hugely important in Paphos, on the island of love, the whole of Cyprus, to be honest. That's my MOT man just over there on the left hand side, and he's the best MOT man in the world for all the right reasons. In other words, if there's something wrong with the car, he tells us to do it, whereas a lot of MOT people just go, yes, pass. And that's not a good thing, because, you know, if your wheels are falling off but you've just had a brand new MOT, that's not really very good. So he's the most stringent MOT man in Paphos, which is a good thing, which allows us, obviously, to charge you a bit of money, but it makes sure that your car is in tip-top condition. So if you're curious to know what does Mr. Paul do, we have a car body shop and we have a car mechanics shop, and we dibble and we dabble in the odd little bit of car selling. And I was talking to a superstar last night called David Potter, and he had his Oching Grasiviala booth with him, So we had a great time in the Pelican restaurant, and as I said to him, often people think people are dealing cars and making a fortune, but one thing's for sure, it's a very, very fast way to lose a fortune, because most people want way too much for their car, and of course they don't want to pay that much for their new car. And of course the man in the middle, the car dealer, is left with the problem. So sometimes we give too much more money for your car and sell you a car at a loss. So there we go. That's the inner workings of a used car dealer. New car dealers are not much better either, by the way. Look at that. That's a Porsche Panamera, possibly one of the ugliest cars ever made. It's a good car to drive, don't get me wrong, the inside is nice, but, and I know the view of beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I know that, but to my eyes and to a lot of people's eyes, the Porsche Panamera is probably the ugliest car that has ever been conceived. Anyway, I'm going to drag you a XJ, which I think is one of the most beautiful cars ever made. And I love it to bits. And we're in the Jag today. So we're whizzing down, and the weather is, well, as I was saying, spectacular, isn't it? We're coming into the third week of October, if you're curious to know, and the temperature outside, according to the Jag, is 25 degrees. The sun is beaming down, and with people walking around in shorts and t-shirts, so that should tell you a lot. We're living on the island of love, and it is the island of paradise. So if you're looking for someone to come for that last bit of winter sun, to top up that tan, to chill out, get yourself on a big bird or a canoe and start paddling like crazy. Paphos Cyprus, Marika and me, we're dying to meet you. Come on, get yourself down. What's coming up next? We've got the Bionic Superstore. That's not Steve Austin or Jamie Summer, no, that's a shop that sells computers and all the peripheral that goes with it, and they install charging machines and electronics and all those kind of things, island wide, and of course a very good company to deal with indeed. What else is coming up down here? We've got a Syrian barber shop coming up on the right hand side. We've got Gap Akis Express, that's one of these courier services, and courier service in Paphos are great, by the way, because they phone you up and tell you that they're coming towards your house and perhaps you're not home, so they phone you up and say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll meet you at the Costa Coffee on the Masoi Road and that kind of thing. It's really a very relaxed place to live. So get yourself on a big bird, as I keep saying. Canoe, handle like crazy. Get yourself to Paphos. You're not going to regret it, whether you're coming for a week, a fortnight, or perhaps even the rest of your life. This road, if you've not been to Paphos for, say, 18 months, was not accessible up until about what time goes. So 5 months ago, this road was all rejuvenated, new pavements, and there's traffic lights everywhere for Lady Andrea, and it's a massive improvement. The parking's much better, and you can see what's coming at you, and people of course are able to park in, well, silly angles. Papa Antonio Supermarket, that's a bit of a remake, had a new facade put onto it. That's the biggest supermarket in Paphos Centre. We're going to go straight over now, and we're literally on the cusp of the old town. The old town is to the right hand side, and there's various little roads to get to it. And of course, if you've not been to Paphos before, why not come and have a visit in the old town, because there's a quaintness to it and a newness to it, because it's all been rejuvenated. Some parts are much better, and as I was talking to someone the other day, the soul unfortunately has been removed, but hopefully as time goes on and it beds in, it will get better and better. But most people who go up to the old town say they enjoyed the experience, but remember, most of it closes after lunch, and on a Saturday, well, you can pretty much forget it. On a Sunday, well, the whole of Cyprus is closed. I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you like what you see, hit that like, click that subscribe, and don't forget to come back for a little bit more of our complete and utter madness. And remember, unfortunately, now and again, Mr. Paul does get stuck in gridlock traffic. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again on my travels again very soon indeed.